Hello and welcome to another episode of Zen Bunny. My name's Dustin Reese and I'm here to bring you the tools of the trade. Yep, that's right, we're doing something a little bit different today. I've been recently getting a lot of questions about how I do my art, and while I've done some time-lapse videos of the watercolor process, I want to break it down and show you each tool that I use and when I use it. Hey everyone, I just want to let you know that all the products I'm about to mention, I haven't been paid to endorse any of these, it's just the particular things that I use. So just want to get it out there, this is not an advertisement, this isn't paid or anything, this is me just giving you what I like to use. Alright, cool, let's get back to it. The very first step, no matter what, if it's for a book, for some general art, or comics, is I always find my sketchbook and I work out my ideas. I have several sketchbooks. I have ones that are spiral bound, I have ones that are hard bound, and inside them, I basically just work through all the different ideas and different things that I might do. For example, here, I was working out how to do a comic panel, and you can see I crossed out my different ideas before I finally settled on the one that I liked. With the sketchbook, this is when I'm really hammering out all of my ideas. As you can see on this page, I actually drew a lot of different eyes until I came across something that I like. By the time I'm done sketching and working out the elements of whatever I'm going to be doing, I've got most of it figured out, so by the time I lay my first pencil to paper, I know what my general idea is going to be. And this is my approach. For me personally, I can't sit in front of a blank piece of paper and just start making. I have to have some sort of plan, some sort of idea before I start doing it. Once I've planned out my idea, I go get my watercolor paper. For me, I use 140-pound 9x12 watercolor paper. I haven't been doing this for too long, so I don't have a preference of what type of paper that I use. I do like the heavier stock because they can absorb a lot of water. I also like the 9x12 because it's bigger than 8.5x11, and if I decide to do any prints, I'm able to shrink down whatever my final image is for a crisp, clean look. I also generally have about 3 of these on hand, so I never run out of watercolor paper. So I've got my idea, and I've got the paper. Now I need to start putting it all together. I like to lay out my ideas using watercolor pencils. For me particularly, I'm using Durant, which is just what my local art store happened to carry. I'm not too picky about which watercolor pencil because honestly all I'm doing is making an outline of my work. I really like the colored line effect, and this achieves it really well because when I do the watercolor, I can dab into those outlines and it will activate the color, but it won't erase it. I do have the option if I want to run a lot of water over it though in order to kind of soften up those lines. Oftentimes what I do is I use the yellow color, which is the lightest one in this set, kind of pre-draw what I'm going to do for my shapes. And then I go back over it with the colors that I'm actually going to use. Alright, so we've got the idea, we've got the paper, and we've made all of the lines for all of the areas on the page that will be filled in with color. From there, I use watercolor pens to actually add the paint to the page. I like using these guys right here. They're Pentel Arts Aqua Water Brush pens. I have 3 of them actually, but I use 2 of them most of the time. I have a standard width and a fat width. I also have a really skinny width, but I don't use that one as much as these 2. So what I like about these pens is they actually unscrew and you fill this up with your water. It becomes your water well for your project. Then, when you put it back together, take the cap off, you have the water for your watercolor inside the pen. So all it does is give a little squeeze and it pushes the water down into the bristles and the water comes out. And it also allows me to control how much water is on the page really easily. If I want just a little bit, I give it just a little squeeze. If I want a lot, I give it a big squeeze. And I've gotten pretty good at actually squeezing this as I'm going to kind of flush the color out of the end of the brush. There are times though when I want to do a lot of color over a big area on the page. So I like to keep this guy on hand. It's good for doing large areas of color on the page. It's got the big brush, so it's really good at pushing the paint around very easily. It doesn't take as long as with the smaller brushes. So all this is fine and dandy, except where's the color? Where's the paint? And that's where this guy comes in. So this right here is a Winsor & Newton pan set. It's pretty cool. I'll open it up for you. So as you can see inside, it's got a couple of different wells here where you can lay color down and mix them around. You can see I do a little bit of that there. And in the middle here is where my colors actually live. And it's pretty cool. Each of these are actually little wells that you can fill up with paint. And as you can see for my particular set, I have 2 empty slots. I can fill that later whenever I feel like it. But right now I kind of have a basics of the rainbow. I have a couple of variations of blue, a couple of variations of brown, green, red up through brown, yellow, black, white, and then on this side is just more variations, green, browns. I have my gray right here, which I've used a lot, and up here is my purple. I also have on hand a bunch of watercolor paint tubes. I can use these to refill the set. And they can be expensive, but I want you to note that that purple that I'm using, it came from this particular tube right here. This will actually last me probably years at how quickly I'm using this particular color. So yeah, as you can see, I have a bunch of different colors here, and I can use these to refill my set as I run out of color. The cool thing about how these work is basically you open it up, squirt the paint that you want into the little pan, and you let it dry. And generally it takes about 24 to 36 hours for it to dry, but once it's there, it's good to go forever. You just get it wet and it reactivates and you can apply it onto the paper. Once all the watercolor is dry, I like to go back in with ink and kind of highlight elements of the page to help pull it out. For this I like to use Prisma pens. With these pens there are two variations that I like to use, the brush and the fixed width. The brush is pretty cool. As it sounds, it's a brush, so I can press hard and get a nice thick line, or I can lighten up and get a nice thin line. These are pretty good for doing outlines and swoops and curves. I find it's a really fun line. It's a great line that it puts together. The other one that I use is a fixed width. These are great for doing any sort of cross-hatching or details that all need to be the same width and have no variation in them. I like the brush for the outside because it gives a nice thick fluid line, whereas the fixed width kind of locks in those inside details. And there we go. Those are the tools that I use to make my art. If you learned something, make sure to leave a thumbs up to let me know. And if you'd like to see a time-lapse version of this whole process, I'll link to that at the end of this video. Anyway, thanks to everyone who submitted this question wondering how I do my art. Hopefully this answers your questions. If you have more questions, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to get back to you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.